This video was made possible by Brilliant, a math and science problem-solving website that makes learning fun and rewarding. On the way to our goals, we often find ourselves lost. Sometimes we get stuck, and we stop progressing like we were in the past. Here's a framework I use to get myself unstuck and moving again. Let me ask you a question. Is this girl moving? Sure, you see her body moving, but is she actually going anywhere? What about now? Now you can see the truth. Motion means nothing without a reference point. The forest in the background acts as a reference point, allowing you to judge whether she's actually going anywhere. Step 1 of getting unstuck is to choose a key metric. It will act as a reference point, allowing you to judge whether you're making any progress towards your goal. If you're focused on your health, some metrics you might measure are your weight, your body fat percentage, the time it takes you to run a mile, or the number of calories you consume in a day. If you're focused on productivity, you might measure the number of pages you write, the number of hours you practice your craft, or the number of works you produce. I find that a good metric has the following traits. It's very specific, it's easy to objectively measure, and a change in the metric indicates true progress towards or away from my goal. For example, if I want to become a better basketball player, I might measure the amount of points I score per game. Points are very specific, they're easily and objectively measurable, and they're an obvious indicator of whether I'm becoming a better player. Step 2 of getting unstuck is to create a process that affects my key metric. A process is just a set of actions that I perform to try and reach my goal. For example, if I want to become a better basketball player, I might practice my ball handling for 15 minutes a day, and then my free throws, and then my three-pointers, and then my layups. This makes up an hour-long practice session. Now, how do I know if my process is any good? This is where the metric comes back in. Let's say I'm measuring my points per game. If the process is any good, I should see the metric moving up. I find that the best processes cost the least amount of energy, but produce the greatest changes in the metrics. Or in other words, if our process is a machine, it produces the greatest output for the least input, the greatest results for the least energy. The best way to improve a process is with knowledge. Knowledge allows us to swap out the actions in our process for better ones, so that it produces greater results for less energy. The best place to get knowledge is from people who have already done something similar to what you're trying to do. In our basketball example, that's probably a coach. But you might learn from books, other writers, artists, painters, film directors, musicians, and so on. The point is to find someone whose process you can imitate until you find the best one for yourself. The third step to getting unstuck is to manage your energy. You can think of yourself like a video game character, having an energy bar that runs out by the end of the day. Of course, by having good eating and sleeping habits, you can keep the energy bar nice and full. But even then, you have a limited amount of energy that you can use in a day, so you have to learn to use it effectively. Each action in a process costs a certain amount of energy. To make the process more efficient, you can lower the energy cost of each action. How do you do this? By improving your strength. We'll discuss 3 different kinds of strength: physical, psychological, and technological. The first is physical. By having a stronger body, you'll expend less energy doing things. Your body is just more efficient. The second is psychological strength. If, for example, you write every day and practice the basics of grammar and language, you'll make them unconscious habits, and unconscious habits require less energy to act out. This goes for basketball too. If you make the basics unconscious, such as ball handling and shooting form, you'll spend less energy doing them correctly. And lastly, there's technological strength. For example, if you use a computer to type, you'll expend less energy writing up a page than if you did it by hand. Improving your strength allows you to expend less energy when you perform your process. So here's a summary of the framework I use to get unstuck. I start by picking a goal. I need to know where I want to go. Then I pick a key metric, and I ask myself if the metric is specific, easy to objectively measure, and representative of true progress towards my goal. If it doesn't meet this criteria, I need to pick a new one. Once I've selected a good metric, I create a process that affects it. I write down my process, act it out, and watch how it affects the metric. Then I get knowledge from experts to alter my process so that it produces greater results for less energy. And lastly, I manage my energy. I try to eat and sleep better to keep my energy bar nice and full. I ask myself if I have the energy to start a new goal or process. And where is the best investment for my energy right now? Then I try to make my energy expenditure as little as possible by working on my physical, psychological, and technological strength. So that's the framework I currently use when troubleshooting how to get unstuck. Hopefully it's useful to you. Take what works, discard what doesn't, and make it your own. If you're feeling stuck while learning STEM subjects, I highly recommend checking out this week's sponsor, Brilliant. Brilliant's mission is to help you achieve your learning goals. They cover a wide array of topics such as logic, physics, mathematics, and even computer science in their interactive problem-solving courses. One of their newest courses, Knowledge and Uncertainty, teaches you the math behind uncertainty and gives you the tools for dealing with the flood of information in our lives. You can learn to put a number on how much you don't know, and even discover a formula that shows you when it might be best to change a belief. To check them out and start learning, just go to www.brilliant.org/freedominthought or click the link in the description below and you can sign up for free. As a bonus for those who are ready to push themselves further, the first 200 people will be hooked up with 20% off the annual subscription. As always, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.